Hey guys, yeah, so we're taking a look at another Anita Sarkeesian video. So let's prepare our Vorpal swords and see what this old Jabberwocky has for us today. Let's crack on.
At their annual BlizzCon event in 2014, the wildly successful game studio Blizzard Entertainment showed off a new game they had in the works called Overwatch. And from that first reveal it was clear, the appeal of Overwatch resided in its cast of characters, a diverse assortment of heroes each with unique traits and abilities. The roster revealed at BlizzCon included men and women, sentient robots, and super intelligent gorillas. However, for all the apparent variety and diversity in the heroes Blizzard showed off at the game's debut, there wasn't much diversity to be seen in the body types represented by the female heroes.
You didn't like Tracer's ass, did you? I bet it was Tracer's ass.
The male characters introduced that day included the towering knight Reinhardt, the sturdy engineer Torbjorn, the agile archer Hanzo, and the hulking simian scientist Winston, among others. The 5 female characters introduced consisted of the slender adventurer Tracer, the slender healer Mercy, the slender support character Symmetra, the slender sniper Widowmaker, and the slender but well-armored security chief Farah.
But it's as you said, Anita, the game was still in the works. And as you mentioned at the end of this video, Blizzard has added more characters to the roster. Although you do leave one out, so when we get to that I'll mention it.
Overwatch was hardly alone in having all of its female characters share a similar physique. In Ultra Street Fighter IV, characters such as Dalsum, Hakan, E. Honda, Rufus, and Vega represent a significant range of male body types.
But Anita, there's one thing that 4 out of 5 of those characters share, and indeed most of the male characters on the roster for Street Fighter actually share. That they share it so much that you could say is actually a male body standard within the game. And that is muscles. They are all buff. They are all rippling with muscles. Even E. Honda, whose style is apt to be of a sumo wrestler, has rippling muscles which by rights he shouldn't have. But he does. So you could say that is a male body standard within Street Fighter. And only one character deviates from this, and that's Rufus. Rufus is actually designed to be a joke character, a comedic character. Now there's nothing wrong with comedic characters, because if done correctly for some people, comedic characters can be very lovable and they can be really good characters. But Rufus is a stereotypical American. He's fat, he eats a lot, and he is portrayed as not being the brightest of the bunch. So, yeah, I mean, he has a self-made rivalry with Ken Masters, and he thinks that everybody is Ken Masters. And his fighting style is where he uses his fat to make himself faster. Oh, and he doesn't want to lose any weight, or else he'll think himself as wimpy. So, but Rufus is a joke character. This'll come up later, honest.
Looking at the roster of female characters, however, while some may be a bit taller than others or have slightly larger thighs, not one of them represents a notable departure from the slender body type that has been established as the standard of conventional female attractiveness.
Anita, these characters are physically diverse. They may not be physically diverse in terms of fat, but they are physically diverse in terms of muscle and how toned they are. If we were to compare Crimson Viper to Chun-Li, then you can definitely see the difference between these two characters. And that is because of the fighting style they employ. Crimson Viper relies a lot on technology to help her out in fights, such as the gloves that she wears actually are able to zap her enemies, giving her an advantage. Whereas Chun-Li, Thunder Thighs, kicks her enemies into oblivion. So the difference in fighting style would also define the difference in body structure, the difference in muscle tone. But even Sakura is different than your average 18-year-old that you would see in today's world. And that's because she's living up to her idol, her hero Ryu. So she's training herself to be like Ryu. And therefore, because of that training, she's getting more muscle, she's getting more toned. So, these characters are different. Just because they are not fat like Rufus doesn't mean that they are not different. But hey, what do I know? It's not like I draw characters for fun or anything.
Similarly, when we look at the champions on offer in the hugely popular MOBA League of Legends, we see the designers employing a wonderful range of body shapes and proportions across dozens of male characters. From the classic muscular warrior physique of Tarek, to the hefty beer belly of Gragas, to the cartoonishly disproportionate body of Dr. Mundo. There isn't any one male body type that is presented as the standard default male body type.
Really, Anita? There are absolutely no tall, muscular, broad-shouldered male characters in League of Legends. You know, the typical male body standard that we usually see. Now, what the hell are these characters?
And the value of these characters is definitely not connected to their sexual desirability. But when we look at the female heroes, there's nothing approaching the diversity we see on the male side of the roster. There are a few noteworthy variations from the standard. Illaoi is somewhat more muscular than many of the female characters. Jinx has smaller breasts, and there's the cute gnome-like Tristana. But the overwhelming majority of female characters make it clear that a slender figure with prominent breasts is viewed as the standard for female character design.
Anita, League of Legends is a game that has a roster of over 100 characters, 45 of which are female characters. You have only mentioned 8, 5 of which you say are an example of what the majority of the female characters look like, with 3 exceptions. What about the other 37 characters? What about characters like Poppy, Rek'Sai, Anivia, Annie, and Lulu? Yes, Anita, there is a body for women that is seen as the female body standard. But as I pointed out earlier, there is also a male body standard. So it's on both sides. I mean, there are those characters that diverge from the body standard norms, just like you've pointed out, and now I've pointed out. But what you are putting across here, Anita, is that only male characters have the body diversity and not female characters. Now, I don't play League of Legends, but I asked somebody who did, and I asked him to watch Anita's video and see what he thought. Let's just say he laughed out loud. But what he said to me was, you don't concentrate on the body of the character that you play. You concentrate on the strategy of the game. You concentrate on what items you might need to buy, what items you've used, who needs help and doesn't need help. You're concentrating on when a dragon is trying to spawn. You're basically looking at the tactics of the game and you're trying to figure out how to bloody win. You're not looking at the body of the character. You're playing the character because the character might have good stats. It might be a good fighter or a good tank or a good healer. Anything that could help the team. But you don't really care about the body of the character. If it's a good character for the game's purposes, then you play that character.
Likewise, in Dota 2, male heroes can be handsome or comical, outlandish or grotesque.
I just want everybody to remember this line for later, because it's very important.
While female heroes are mostly relegated to being standard humanoid characters with conventionally attractive facial features.
For those that don't know, those are some of the female characters out of Dota 2. But my question to you is, Anita, what do you actually want? Do you want more characterization for female characters? Do you want more characters that look like Annie or Lulu or Medusa? Do you want more characters that look like that? Or do you want more characters to look like Rufus? Or this guy?
Where are all the female rock creatures, skeletal priests, and whatever this thing is?
She's not exactly a rock troll, and she's not exactly in the same game. But does this one count?
This isn't just an issue in fighting games, MOBAs, and other titles that give players a range of characters to choose from. Female characters across the board are often limited to that same specific body type.
Well, anybody could jump to that conclusion going off the evidence that you have provided, because you certainly make it seem that way. But the thing is, if people were to do their research and look into different genres of games, or different types of games, different fighting games, different MOBAs, then you would find that there are many cases of character and body diversity.
I should kill you.
Doing all right there?
Stay away from her!
Sure you want to let him go?
And this guy wants me to trust him.
It's as if male characters are free to embody whatever physique best communicates their personality or abilities, but when it comes to the designs of female characters, that kind of imagination and creativity often doesn't seem to exist.
Now I wonder why that is, Anita. I wonder why character designers for video games have kind of put themselves into a safe zone when drawing female characters. It's almost like they don't want to disturb a group of harpies that, from the moment they see a female character design and they don't like something in that design, will swoop down upon them with vicious talons and tear them to pieces.
Rather than seeing such an exciting range of female characters, we mostly get the same body type over and over again, one designed to be sexually appealing to the presumed straight male player.
To you, Anita, do lesbians and bisexual women not exist or something? The thing is, Anita, there are many female video game characters, both protagonist and NPC alike, and these are really good characters. They're strong and independent, and many gamers love them. We adore them. And their weight has nothing to do with it. What people like about these characters is the personality of that character, the characterization that went into these characters. Would Halo fans be so distraught about Cortana's passing if she had a few extra pounds on her? No. It was the personality and the relationship she built with Master Chief that Halo fans loved. So it wouldn't matter if she had a few extra pounds on her or not. Sheesh.
This reliance on the same body type for so many female characters isn't just boring, it's harmful. It links our value as human beings within the culture to our desirability to men, and it reinforces our culturally influenced ideas about who gets to be considered desirable and who doesn't.
Anita, are you saying that video games have this miraculous ability to program young men's minds into preferring a certain type of body on the opposite sex, completely negating their own natural attractions towards the opposite sex? If you are saying that, please show me your studies that prove this. Yeah, I'll wait. Whether it's in the opposite sex or the same sex, whatever you fancy, we're all individuals on what we find attractive. Some men will like slimmer girls, some men will like slender girls, some men will like chubby girls, and some men will like curvy girls. There's nothing wrong with this. We're not saying that that's harmful or demeaning or it's wrong. If that is what you're attracted to, then that's what you're attracted to, and as long as people are happy within the relationship, then fairly well. No video game can have this programming power to basically say that men should like a certain type of woman, and then that's reinforced in our society. It's not. But I have a question for you, Anita. You know how there is this statistic of 50% of gamers nowadays are women? Well, yes, if we were to look at that percentage, we would see that many women who are gamers would prefer games like Solitaire, Bejeweled, Farmville, and other puzzle games. There are female gamers, like me, that like action RPGs, beat-em-ups, fighting games, that sort of genre of gaming, and other genres of gaming. So if video games had this programming power to basically tell men to like slender girls, wouldn't it have the similar programming power to tell women that they should like tall, muscular, broad-shouldered men? Since that's the body standard of men in video games?
The problem is exacerbated by the fact that when we do see representations of women with different body types, they're often presented as a joke, as in Fat Princess. Or they're pathologized and presented as a twisted transgression of the established feminine ideal, as in the case of the evil lesbian psychopath Jo Slade in Dead Rising.
Let's see just how shameless you are, you dirty little skank. Say hello to my little friend. No, not again.
But Anita, earlier you said...
Likewise in Dota 2, male heroes can be handsome or comical, outlandish or grotesque.
So it's alright for fat men to be comical or grotesque, but not women. Your double standards are showing.
The majority of women who populate these game worlds are designed from the same narrow template. The problem isn't just what we're seeing in games, it's what we're not seeing. The fact that fat women and women with different body shapes aren't featured in these worlds reinforces the false notion that these women are less valuable and less worthy of recognition than those women whose bodies come closer to matching the cultural beauty standard.
Then maybe, Anita, you should stop complaining what you don't like about a certain character and start praising what you do like about certain characters. Start praising about what you do like about Jade, or what you do like about that alien stick thing called the Scythian. You know, start praising these characters, and then maybe games designers, and if enough of us start praising characters that we do like, then maybe games designers can get out of the safe space and start designing even more imaginative characters, even more imaginative female designs. It's just a thought. You know, but then we have to watch out for the people who don't like these character designs and will still swoop down upon them and tear them to pieces. But we've still got to keep on praising them. I mean, one character that I can think of right off the top of my head that will fit your critique there, Anita, is Hammer from Fable 2. She's strong and independent. I mean, she's a freaking hero of strength. She's not skinny. She's got muscles to spare. And she wields a giant hammer that she rips out of a statue's hands. Yeah, but she's also witty and funny. So maybe we should start praising characters like Hammer. You know?
These limitations on creativity when it comes to female characters don't stop with body type. We also don't see the same range of ages commonly represented as we do with male characters. It's not unheard of to see male soldiers, fighters, and heroes who appear to be in their 40s, 50s, and even older.
You're right.
Playable female characters, on the other hand, are almost always young, and it's for the same reason that so many of them have the same body type. They're intended to be sexually appealing to straight male players. The result is that we have plenty of representations of male characters who communicate that men can continue to be active, vital, and powerful over the course of their lives. Meanwhile, the absence of older playable female characters wrongly suggests that women's value is tied directly to their beauty and youth, and that when they're older, that value is all used up.
Have you considered, Anita, that even though that video games are fantasy, even fantasy has to be grounded somewhat within reality. It has to reflect reality. And this is simply a reflection of reality. When you look at it, Anita, if you look at military life, law enforcement, firefighters, sewage workers, miners, you will tend to see that there are still older men in these positions, in these jobs. They tend to keep going. Even if their jobs might change, they still tend to keep going. Whereas women, when we get older, we tend to take a step back. This is all due to women's choices in life. We don't lose value dependent on what choices we make. Yeah, I'm not saying that all women take a step back as we get older. Some women keep on going, just like the men. And some men also take a step back. But it is majoritively men that keep on going and majoritively women that tend to take a step back. But our value does not diminish dependent upon the choices that women make. But just to take one of your examples, Anita, Snake there that you have is around about 42 years old. And one thing about Snake at this point is that he's breaking down. Not mentally, physically. You see, he's a clone of Big Boss, and because he is a clone, he's breaking down. I think it's a disease that's about to claim him, but you know what he doesn't do? He doesn't wait on his deathbed for death to claim him. He goes out on one last mission. I think it's to destroy Liquid Ocelot, I'm not sure. But he goes out on one last mission. Now, he goes through the torment and the grit and the anguish of going through another mission while he's dying. I know it's admirable from a game character, but does that not speak more to the disposability of men and how society views men? Either that or I've been watching too much Honey Badger Radio.
There aren't many good examples of prominent positive representations of women with different body types in major contemporary games. In Life is Strange, there's the minor character Alyssa, a classmate of Max, the protagonist.
I didn't know you were a sci-fi geek like us. What's your favorite?
In Assassin's Creed Syndicate, there's Agnes McBean, owner of the train which becomes the hero's base of operations.
Then may I present to you Agnes and Bertha, lady and locomotive.
And in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, Kreia is a great example of a capable, powerful, older female character.
I am Kreia, and I am your rescuer, as you are mine.
I mentioned before about Hammer being a good example of a woman of different body type. Well, here are some examples of older women in video games. Whether they be just good characters or good influence on the story, or I just think are pretty cool characters. And also some suggestions from my sister and brother.
Let's go back to Overwatch for a moment. Since that initial reveal, a few female heroes have been added to the roster. There's Mei and Zarya, both of whom have body types that are notably different from those of the originally announced female characters.
Anna, reporting for duty.
And more recently, Blizzard announced the game's next hero, Anna, who's both an older woman and a woman of color. These characters are welcome and encouraging additions, but really they're just a start.
Just a start? I think we've proven that it's been more than just a start for a while now, Anita. I mean, we've had good characterizations of not just different body types, but also different ages amongst female characters. So maybe if we stop highlighting the negatives, or maybe feminists stop highlighting the negatives of video games and female characters within them, and start highlighting the positives, then maybe, again, video game creators can get out of this safe zone But yeah, you're missing a character.
Game developers need to continue actively working towards creating the same range and diversity of female body representations that we see among male characters.
Just as long as these female characters aren't used for comedic effect or vilified, just like male characters.
When female characters' bodies are liberated from the need to uphold narrow, limiting cultural beauty standards, the resulting range of representations can not only make games themselves more interesting, it can encourage us to see all women as the desirable, valuable, autonomous, fully human individuals that we are.
Wow, it got dark quick. Anyway, that's the end of the video, guys, and what do I think of it? It was annoying. This is Anita complaining about sour grapes. She was complaining about a female body standard whilst completely ignoring the male body standard that is also everywhere within video games. The tall, muscular, broad-shouldered man. That's just as everywhere as in video games as this female body standard that she points out. But, look guys, on a personal note, as a fat woman, I don't care if I do or don't see a fat woman in video games. What I care about in video games is the personality of a character, the characterization of character, and how I can use that character in certain situations. You know, will there be a tank? Will there be a defensive? Will there be an all-rounder? Will there be a healer? Will there be a range? And will I adore these characters just as much as I adore Garrus Vicarian, Talizora and Iron Bull? Or will I despise these characters as much as Caden and Ashley from Mass Effect and I try to kill them at every opportunity? You know, that's all I care about my characters. I don't care about what body size they might be or might not be. But yeah. So, oh, but I have to thank Anita for one thing. In doing all this research for this video, I did come across a particular character that I think best represented me. Comment your thoughts below, guys. I would love to hear from you. See you next time. Bye.